what's up you guys, and welcome back to my channel. And today I want to recommend you 5 books that I've read recently and that I found absolutely amazing. This is kind of my top 5, but those are all the books that I've read in the past 2 to 3 months. So let's get into it. The first book that I want to recommend, and that's the 5th place, is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. And to talk about it, I actually want to read my journal entry after I finished it. Here's my journal, and I have here a page where I write down short entries about the books that I've read. Great Expectations. I can't say that this book has greatly influenced me, but it did give me some things to consider. The plot is pretty intriguing, but not too fascinating. I like that even though the book is pretty old, it is still readable. That's it, I don't write about this book. For some reason I have longer entries about other books. This book is like kind of close to modern language, and it's not like, composed in a way that you read one sentence and it's so weird that you have to reread it a couple of times before you actually understand it. It's not like that. There were like few tricky words that even the dictionary couldn't translate for me, but all in all it was pretty good. I think it is actually more like a light reading rather than a heavy one. I mean, it's just a story and you don't really need to think about anything while reading it. Moving on to place number 4, and here we have a book by Oscar Wilde, The Picture of Dorian Gray. I feel like this book actually has a deep meaning, and it makes you really think and look at yourself and try to correct your wrongdoings, and also makes you remember what you've done wrong towards others. This book is not too big, but it has a lot of things happening in it, so it's totally worth it. That being said, I move on to the 3rd place. And there I have a book by one of my most favorite authors, Ray Bradbury, called The Martian Chronicles. This is a typical Ray Bradbury book. It has a lot of descriptions, metaphors and comparisons, which can seem a little silly from time to time, but are actually very expressive. The book leaves a mark with its ending. Starting as a fantasy book, it turns out to hold a very deep meaning within itself. And it's true, it started more like, just a story about Mars with its citizens, civilization and stuff. But at the end, it was such a deep book, and when I finished it, I sat for like 10 minutes, like this. Like really thinking about what I've just read. And for me, this is one of the markers that the book is really good. Actually, all of Ray Bradbury's books have this effect on me, and I don't know, maybe it's just my love towards the author, maybe he's just a great author, which he definitely is, but yeah, this is just how I feel about all of his books, and this one is not excluded. Next goes the book that I've read in Russian. In English it is called The Library of Shadows, and in Russian it has a very weird translation. By the way, I'm sorry, I just cannot correctly pronounce the name of the author. I'll leave the name somewhere around me here. The world that the author made up in this book still haunts me, even though I finished the book like 1 month ago. But it was so deep. I was all drowned in that world, and it is so good. I mean, I really love the feeling when you cannot get enough of the book. You're all in there. When I was finishing the book, I had like 150 pages left, and I thought I'd read like a few pages before bed, and I ended up reading for more than 2 hours, and I finished it that night, and I was like, wow, is it 1 a.m? Like, how did that happen? Because usually I'm really sleepy at about 11, and I was shocked that I could read for so long without even noticing it, and this is another marker for me that the book is totally worth it. And lastly, I have not exactly a book, more like a series, or you can even say an author. I'm talking about the books by Dan Brown about Robert Langdon. This is also one of my favorite series ever. It's on the same place with Harry Potter, The Chronicles of Narnia, and this kind of stuff. And actually, when I read it on some turning points, I can feel my heart beat faster. This is another marker that the book is good. If you haven't read any of the books about Robert Langdon, you definitely should. Just please try at least. You do not have to read them in the order because they are not exactly connected with one another. I started reading Dan Brown with the Da Vinci Code, and then I moved on to Angels and Devils, and on and on and on. Now I only have one left to read, unfortunately. And these are all of my recommendations so far. I hope you will find some ideas for you to read from this video, and if you have read any of the books that I've mentioned, or if you have other recommendations, please write them down in comments, and I'll read what you recommend me to read as well. And I'll see you soon. Bye bye.